thinking of my first teacher, Maharshi. He used to say that we were creating an age of enlightenment. Now, this may seem like a fantasy, especially when you look at the news nowadays. There's like so much stuff happening in the world. It's such chaos out there. And we don't even want to talk about it. It's so absurd, like so much stuff happening. We're in a lot of people feel we're in the middle of an extinction event. Doesn't mean that we'll necessarily be extinct, but many species may actually qualify as an extinction event. And so it's so many things happening. So how could we talk about an age of enlightenment? Well, one thing Maharshi used to say is that if we're actually just announcing the dawn of the age of enlightenment, now if we announce it when it's already here, then it's too late. Everybody will see it's the dawn of the age of enlightenment. So, they'll laugh at us. So we have to announce it when it's still dark, before the dawn, right? And so we want to have that, age of, and what is an age of enlightenment? It means like an age of heaven on earth, you could say, okay? And it's like, for Christians, there's the Lord's Prayer, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That line describes the age of enlightenment, basically, that it's a heaven on earth. And so you might wonder, well, why should I invest myself in a fantasy if it's not real? Well, think about this, like an age of enlightenment is living eternity. It's living the eternal, immortal, right? So an enlightened age is going to last a long time. And for instance, Maharshi used to say it would last 10,000 years. I don't know how he came up with that figure, but let's just say for the sake of discussion, maybe we say it lasts 10,000 years, okay? Then if it's not yet the dawn, then let's say that whole 10,000 years was like a day, all right? Then right now it's maybe 3 a.m. The glow of dawn hasn't yet appeared. But by 4 a.m., it's starting to show. So that's 1/24 of the 10,000 years. That is 416 years if you do the math, okay? So if right now we're at 3 a.m., in about 416 years, we can start to expect the dawn to start showing. So it's a big long-term proposition, basically. Over 400 years, then there will be tangible signs, tangible light, just like going from the dark night. I don't know about you guys, but I like to meditate during the night. I'm always meditating by 2:30, 3 o'clock. And when it gets to be around 4 o'clock, well, it depends what time of year, but recently in the summer, it gets to be about 4 o'clock. Now it's starting to be more like 4:30. The dawn comes, the sky lights up. And it's a whole change. It's a very different character than the night. It's very different. So that dawn will be very different. And then in another, say, half hour, like going from 4 to 4:30, it gets even more light. So that'll be another 200 years, and there'll be more light. And then another 200 years or so, and then you actually see a very vivid golden glow on the horizon. So that is really the dawning of the age of enlightenment. And so that'll be maybe another 800 years from now. And so it's like that. Okay. If you just do the math and compare it to a day, you get an idea of the scope of it. And then after that, the sun comes up, it's the light of day. You can't go around announcing the age of enlightenment at that time because everybody already knows it. So by then, we're living in that state of heaven on earth. But how do we achieve that? There's really, how can you achieve an age of enlightenment? Somehow, it has to be on the level of consciousness. It's not like nature is going to change. Nature is nature. What the X factor is human consciousness. If human consciousness is steeped in ignorance, if there are all kinds of negativity negative values in human consciousness impacting the world, then it can't be an age of enlightenment. But if there's all kinds of positive values in human consciousness, if there's enlightenment in human consciousness, if there's full creative intelligence, if there's bliss consciousness, if there's divine love coming in human consciousness, then that changes the character of the world. So that's how it comes about, by raising human consciousness. So if you look right now, I know this may seem like I'm talking about something that doesn't have to do with this course, but I do want to go into this because this is actually important. I mean, how can we contribute to bringing more light into the world? How can we contribute to reducing problems and suffering in the world? Well, this is one thing we can definitely do every day through our meditation. If others have an interest in meditation, getting them to start meditation or helping them to start meditation. So that's how we can do it. It's now in science, they have this, like if you look around right now and you see the turmoil in society and the polarization and all the stuff that's happening that seems so negative. In science, they note that when matter goes from one state to another, there's a transition, a necessary transition state. Like when, to be a simple example, when water goes from the liquid form to gas form, there's a transition. It takes, you have an input of energy in the form of either heat or pressure. And through that input of energy, it starts to raise the molecular activity until it transitions and becomes gas, from liquid to gas, okay? But in the process, there's a lot of chaos. The water is bubbling around, some is gas, some is liquid. It's a chaotic state. So you could say, like right now, we're in this phase transition. Things are looking really chaotic and really bad. How can we talk about Age of Enlightenment in this state? Well, it's that phase transition state. And what is the energy that we're adding to the whole system? We're adding the energy of higher consciousness, of Shiva Shakti, the power of consciousness. And so that's what we're inserting into the collective consciousness to start to raise it towards a higher value, a higher, more enlightened state.